podcast where we discuss all things related to creating, living, and making projects. I'm your host, Grant Alexander, and joining me as always is Adam Mackey and Jesse Ratfink. Adam, what have you been up to this week?
So I haven't really been up to much, but I also have been up to a lot. I started training for my new job. As I've talked about in the past, I got a new job as being a trainer of essentially the job that I have now.
Cool.
So I'm going through a university course to get qualifications to be a trainer, be an assessor, and there's one other module that we have to do that you don't normally do, but I can't remember what it is. So we've done 3 days now. We've finished the trainer part, which was only took 2 days and a morning, and now we got like 5 days of assessor. So we've done day 1 of assessing, and then go on for another 4 days of that, and then I think we have. It's funny. I was talking to our trainer, and she was saying that we have to do 1 extra day compared to what the course usually takes because the union doesn't let you do work in your own time. So they had to put an extra day on just so that all the assessments and everything can be done on work's time, which is kind of funny, but yeah. So
I like that.
doing that, but I have learned so much. Like honestly, I've talked to a few trainers. They're like, it's pretty boring. Like it is. It's a pretty like it's such a long. There's so much time for them to teach the course. And I feel like they could have taken, it could be 3 days shorter easily. Like half of the time was filling out paperwork that most of us were done. And then there's like a few people that took a bit longer or whatever. But so many of us were done and just sitting around chatting all the time because it's a lot of it is just once you know what you're doing, it's just repetitive, you know, but it is what it is. But I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot of, skills that I think I could actually bring across to YouTube, like how to actually teach someone something has been quite interesting because, you know, I think to myself, oh yeah, this is how you do it. But they're saying like there's this whole process you got to go through and like you should demo doing it and then explain what you did. And then you do a demo again while explaining what you did. And then you mirror it with them. So you both do it at the same time. Then you coach them through doing it on their own. And then you not test, but you put them through a trial to see if they can do it on their own without the coaching.
This is 100% true for training on the job type stuff. It's not true for a YouTube video.
Well, no. And I get
the thing
that.
about YouTube videos that I absolutely hate is when somebody does this style where they tell you what they're going to do. Then they tell you what they're doing while they're doing it. And then they go back and they explain what they did. And I go, why did they have to hear this 3 times? If I wanted to hear it 3 times, I know how to watch the video 3 times. Like, I don't cut the before and after bullshit and just tell me what you're doing while you're doing it.
I get that. And I think I more take from it that you need to explain what you're doing at some point. Because to me, I come through the aspect of with my videos of being like, I'm going to do this and then just do it and don't actually explain what I'm doing. And I've had that a couple of times. I've had a couple of comments on one of my older videos lately of people asking me how I did a certain thing. I'm like, oh, I didn't actually really explain it, did I? I just said, this is what I'm going to do. And then I showed doing it.
Well, and I think that if you're trying to do how to, yeah, definitely. If you're trying to make entertaining videos, I wouldn't worry too much. Like if you're not, it's like you really got to pick what you want to do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's been good. The assessor part's a bit sort of silly because we don't assess people. We're training them ready to get assessed by our principal guard, who is like the next level up.
Okay.
And so
assessing makes sense as you're training because you're assessing how they're getting it so that you can focus your training on areas that they need more help.
Yeah, but in saying that, that part of the training is the trial part where you're getting them ready to be assessed. With the assessor training, it's not about how to assess someone if they're ready. It's about actually assessing them to qualify them, to give them that final assessment of giving them competency. We're trying to get them to satisfactory, whereas assessor is about competency, and we're not.
Yes.
So on the job that I'm going to do, we don't do that. There's higher ups that do that. There's people that are specifically on the job to test competence. But it's interesting because, like, the trainer was saying you could use it somewhere else. You might go up into that higher field and already have that qualification, all this stuff. It's just sort of part of the course, but I don't know. It's
I
cool.
think
I'm enjoying it.
knowing the next step is always a good idea so that you
Yeah.
understand what's important in your job because you know
Yeah,
what the
for
next
sure.
step's going to do
Yeah.
and how they're going to test it
Mm.
and whatnot. As long
Mm-hmm.
as you're not like, you know, teaching to do a standardized test and not actually
Oh
teaching
my
them what
god.
needs to be done, right?
Well, it's funny you say that because a lot of my on the job teaching is going to be for standardized testing in a way. I have to teach people road knowledge, so we have to know all the stations in order, what line they're on, and then all of them in order, right? As a guard, so
Yeah.
I've got to take people out on the road, teach them that, and then they have to go back to a classroom and fill out a written test to confirm that they can remember them.
Right. So that makes sense because you're going to need to know that on your job.
Yeah.
It doesn't make like sometimes standardized testing is teaching you like conceptual stuff that isn't applicable to anything in
Oh,
particular.
we do that as well. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 60% of guard school is learning stuff that drivers do, and stuff that we would never have anything to do with. But my printer finished. But what I was saying, like to bring it back to the training and assessor part, I'm training that person the stations, but I'm not assessing if they know it. That's what the written test in the classroom is. That's the assessing.
Right. Yeah, I get. I'm just all right.
Yeah.
I won't beat a dead horse here. Jesse, what have you been up to?
So I finished my clamp project. That's pretty much it
Yay!
because
Looks good.
we had 2 contests close at work this week, and I've got kind of a new job assignment and a top secret thing I can't talk about yet, but it's taking up like all of our time. But I did buy more stained glass because
Oh
yay!
wow!
Woo.
So yeah, I'm thinking about what I
So
want to
you're
make,
hooked.
but I don't know. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Once I figured out how much easier a real grinder makes it, it's like, okay, yeah, I can do this. This is easy. So yeah, I bought like that purple iridescent I just showed, pink, white,
I
green,
thought it
and
was
blue.
blue.
It's kind of everything, like it's a little wild, but
On
it's
camera, it's 100%
technically,
blue.
yeah,
Well,
technically it's
it's
purple.
blue. I think it's blue because she has purple lights.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
probably.
sure all the lighting is fucking with it. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm probably gonna do something with flowers and cursey words because that's what I do. So I don't know. Just trying
Cool.
to think about that.
You get
What
curse
about you?
words in. No, so cursive words, did you say? Or curse
I
words?
said cursey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, how do you do cursive? Like,
Oh my
that'd be
god.
fun to you need a scroll saw or
Ooh.
something. Can you
Yeah, that
scroll?
would
You can use
be.
scroll saw glass, right? Or do you
Yeah,
need a
it's a
special one?
special like diamond
Yeah.
blade that you can use, but it does kind of look a little like a scroll
Because
saw.
does it run water through it?
Mhm. Water or
Yeah.
some sort of oil. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that might be another purchase at some point
Hmm.
if I like stick with this because, like I told you guys last week, grinding the edges of the glass off can be really, really intense with like the grozing pliers, and I could just skip that if I had an actual saw. So
Hmm.
we'll see. I don't know. What about you, Grant?
Well, I was working on some box joints. Got out in the garage, got out the box joint jig, and got to work and made an entire 8-inch long box joint from solid maple to solid maple and cherry and whatever, and it did not go together despite
Oh
my
no.
tests. And I tested like probably like 2 inches, right? because I didn't want to waste a whole bunch of boards for nothing. So I test 2 inches; they fit together perfectly. I do the 8 inch piece, and it didn't. It just didn't work, and I was like, "What the hell?" Like it just kept getting further and further from working the further along it went.
Oh
So it's like,
no.
oh god. So luckily, I had made a long enough board to make two of the things I was making because I needed to in the end. But yeah, eventually I just like played around with the spacing and got it to work. But it's I think with plywood, which is what I've used all of the box joints in the past, it works so much better than solid wood for some reason. Like I don't
Hmm.
know if there's some sort of like elasticity to the plywood that makes it work. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's wild.
Yeah. And yeah, and I got my glasses for those
Dun, dun,
watching.
dun. Yeah, everybody needs to watch the video to see Grant's new
Yeah.
fancy glasses.
They're the exact same frames as my sunglasses I like to wear every day, so that's what I just did. I just went. They had the same frames as like I wear Oakley Holbrooks, and
Mhm.
they had them, and but they have prescription lenses in them, and
That's
now I look
nice.
like an
An
idiot.
Nice.
easy choice. I like that because, oh my God, last time I went shopping for glasses, I think I tried on like 50 pairs of glasses.
Well, I went and I tried on a bunch of pairs at different stores, but I just never found ones that I quite liked.
Hmm.
And then I went to Clearly, which is like an online thing, and they hook up with my insurance. So I just said, I guess I'll just order through there, and that was perfect. So that's the excitement that I got. Are those Holbrooks there, Adam?
No, they're AliExpress special. They got speakers built into the arms.
Nice.
Ah,
They got
you
yeah, they got
and your
speakers here.
AliExpress.
Mate, I found an add-on for Google Chrome that tallies
Oh
your
no.
total on AliExpress. I've spent almost 3 grand.
I don't know
Oh
how that's
my God.
possible.
That is
Everything on
That's
AliExpress is like a
amazing.
dollar.
yeah, I spent so much. Well, those glasses were $30.
I know.
Um, but I bought them because so we're not allowed to use headphones and stuff at work because obviously you need to be able to hear shit.
Mhm.
So I got those so that I can wear them. One, no one knows I'm listening to podcast while I'm working, but also I don't have anything in my ears, so I can still hear everything. So I'm not really being unsafe. It's just a bit of background noise behind my ear. So yeah,
So, if you couldn't tell from the title of this episode, we're going to be talking about the winners of the Clamp Challenge. But before we do that, we're gonna have a lot of suspense this episode. We're gonna talk about our projects that we did, and this is where Jesse's gonna talk a little bit about her spring clamp stained glass. She's gonna go into details, and we'll start there.
Okay, so I will put it up if you're watching. I am pretty damn proud of this thing.
Yeah,
The one side is totally crooked, but if you don't look at that, I think it looks pretty good. I don't know. I honestly, yeah, the first time for stained glass, I think it went pretty well, all things considered. Like,
that is a
I could
very
have,
ambitious first project.
yeah, I realized that about um, a week ago. It was like, what have I done? Why do I have to make everything so complicated? Because I went through probably 10 different versions of the pattern I drew up. Because the more I worked with this in practice, the more I was like, okay, that is not going to work. That is too small. That curve is too tight. Like, there's just so much stuff you have to consider that I never would have thought of before I started practicing.
I was
So
going to ask, how did you make the pattern? How do you know what needs to be cut? You have to just draw it up, or is there like a program for it? Or
So I just drew it up, but that was one of the major places I went wrong, actually. So I just used my iPad, drew it up, used like the mirroring tool so that everything looked the same on both sides. But I did extremely thick lines,
Mm.
Mhm.
and you should not do that. I actually started looking through stained glass patterns after I had finished this, and I realized they are like pencil thin lines, super thin lines, and you just cut on those and it's fine. But for me, I think the reason why part of it is so crooked is that all of my pieces were not cut in the same way on the paper. Like some of them
Right.
had thicker lines and some didn't.
Right.
And so, yeah, I had to spend a lot of time like fixing that when actually working with the glass. So that was like a train wreck, but it worked.
So you kind of
Can
had to
I don't
like
you?
know.
fill in it like you're welding, and the
Yes,
things
well,
didn't
and
quite line
that,
up together.
yeah, and that is why the lines are so thick in a lot of
Right.
places
I
because I
thought they were
had a
meant to be.
gap.
Right.
Well, they they typically are fairly thick, but mine are like thick with two C's thick. Like they're
I don't know if I don't know if it's just on camera. Are the lines black?
yes. So that is
So how
actually
are
a
they
part.
black?
Okay, so once you solder, you have to clean everything up. I probably washed it like 2 or 3 times. And then there is an actual like patina chemical that you can buy. I only had black, which is why they're black. But essentially, you just take a little sponge, you rub it over, and then you get a chemical reaction that causes it to turn black. And I
Okay.
also ordered some copper because I think the copper is prettier. So,
I agree.
yeah,
Copper's the
yeah.
best.
I think it'll look a lot nicer. So, but honestly, I think the patinaing was my favorite part. Just like seeing it change color was pretty
Yeah.
cool, honestly. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that again, but with copper. Yeah.
Whenever I
Yeah.
eventually get my metal lathe going, and I get some like the gun bluing or whatever they call it, where they like turn the steel like
Yeah.
black as a layer of protection. I can't wait for that because that like when I
Anodizing?
see it's not anodizing because you do it with
Okay.
steel.
I've been looking into
Anodi-
anodizing.
yeah, anodizing is with aluminum and titanium. You can
Mm-hmm.
do anodizing with like it's like electricity and soap basically,
Yeah.
and you can do that in your home for fun and
Mhm.
change different colors based on different voltage. It's kind of cool. Uh, I
But you can also dye as well.
yeah, dyeing doesn't do so. If you dye it, it doesn't give the same layer of protection. So
Yeah.
anodization gives a layer of like scratch resistance that dyeing is like painting it. So there's no scratch resistance when you dye aluminum.
Ah, okay. Right.
That's why they anodize it. It's also like
Mm.
anodizing it once you've if you've got it set up, it's super fun fast, like to throw
Yeah.
the parts through.
From what, because I've been looking into anodizing, and not to take away from what you're talking about, but I, from what I understood, is you anodize the part without changing the color, and then the dye is what adds the color. But you've anodized the part as well. But I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm
So it depends
following
on
it wrong.
what you're talking about because there's different ways too.
Yeah. Well, from what
And
I was
and
looking at, is you anodize it in a liquid like you normally would, like with a piece of titanium, and then like the volt thing,
yep.
and then you take it out and put it in heated dye, which then essentially
Oh.
dyes it.
Yeah, so there's that I think that has to do with titanium and I think
Okay.
anodizing aluminum you can change the colors based on the voltage or something. It's been a long
Yeah.
time,
Okay.
at least 20 years since I looked into this.
Yeah.
But I remember going like I should do this at home, but everything I bought was already anodized. And so
Mm.
if I wanted to anodize it a different color, I'd have to like sand it all down
Yeah.
to get it the anodization off and then redo it and it just it's a lot for vanity. Like
Yeah.
on a part you can't see when you're racing your RC car, which is
Mm.
where all my aluminum parts were from.
It's different if you planned ahead and you buy it unanodized. But
Right, which they don't sell when I worked. They didn't sell unanodized aluminum because it oxidizes. So the
right.
anodization process stops it from oxidizing, which you go, well,
Yeah.
aluminum's not going to oxidize. It's not going to rust. Well, it doesn't rust. But that like white flaky shit that goes on aluminum, that's the
Hmm.
Mhm.
oxidation layer.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
So
Interesting.
I grabbed the bottle
there
of
you go.
patina and it says nitric acid and selenium compounds. So I
There
guess
you
that's
go.
the magic that's happening
Mm.
there because I could not remember
And it doesn't
what I
affect
read.
the glass, I'm guessing.
It can. Like,
Oh, it
you have to
can.
be pretty
Okay.
careful. Like, especially
Hmm.
so when I was doing the yellow, like around the yellow, if the patina liquid was on the glass too long, it would turn brown. So I was having to like clean up with the paper towel the
Hmm.
whole
Oh,
time.
interesting.
So
Right.
yeah, you kind of have to wipe it away, but it's pretty hard, I think, to like permanently dye it. You'd probably have to leave it on there for a while. I just stepped on my cat because she was right behind me. God damn it. Oh my lord.
Well,
I'm
so
trying to
Adam,
think what else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or is there anything else, Jesse, you want to talk about your?
I mean,
So
I
we
could
went
talk
on a
about how
little.
hard no, I could talk about how hard foiling is forever, but I think I might spare everyone that because oh my god, it's a lot.
Okay.
I just feel like
Well,
the foiling of the glass is like just seems like a tedious process.
It is tedious and you're constantly having to readjust. Like that, I think, yeah.
it'd sort of be
Like I
like
had
the
to build a
sand,
little
not sanding,
stand for it.
because you could just like sit and watch TV while you do it, right? Like you don't really need to. No. Okay.
No, to actually properly foil, the foil needs to be upright and be able to be rolled out at a consistent,
Okay.
measure. So I had to build myself a little stand so that it wouldn't wobble around. And yeah, you have to have like a really good light because you want the exact amount of foil on each side to be the same or it bleeds through. Like if I hadn't done actually, you can kind of see it like in the very middle, you can see some copper because there's too much copper on the opposite side. And so it
Right.
like shines through because that's clear glass in the middle. Yeah, I think I got a lot
That's
better at
why.
it,
That's
but
why copper makes more sense for the patina.
yes, also that. Kind of, yeah, disguise it a little bit because, yeah, my foiling needs some work still, even
Uh,
though I feel a little more confident.
I was going to quickly touch on that before we do move on. So you're saying that what you did with the black, you're saying you get a copper color instead.
Yeah, so all of the
Right.
solder lines would instead be copper. Yeah.
I thought you were saying you solder with like a copper solder instead.
Oh, no, yeah, it's like 60
Okay.
40
So you still
lead.
have to you
Yeah.
still have to do that process of staining the whatever the solder you do
Yeah,
and
most
stuff.
people do. Like, if I hadn't done the patina, it would probably be changing colors, doing crazy shit because I didn't have any stained glass wax to seal it. So I think in the future, I could probably just leave the solder lines as is after cleaning and put the wax on top, and it would be fine. But
Right.
I was a little worried it might get sketchy looking if I left it as is, which is
I
why I
feel like
just
the patina is the
painted it
step that I
all.
wouldn't want to do.
Oh, it's so fun. Honestly,
Okay.
it's really fun.
Right. So I don't actually have my project here to show you. Um,
That's
fun
fine. Let's
fact.
talk about it. Oh, did it
Fun
break?
fact. I threw them in the bin.
Ah,
I look. You can see from the video they didn't work the best. These popped up on AliExpress for $5 each. So I bought some replacements on AliExpress for $5 each, and I'm like, that's way better than anything I'm gonna make. That's it. Um,
perfect.
and I'm not gonna lie, I made them specifically for the challenge. The whole
Mhm.
like I was frustrated with the clamps I had. I'm like, what am I gonna make? Seemed like a good idea. Didn't work 100%. I wasn't happy with it, so I bought some replacements. But you know, but
Perfect.
if anyone is wondering, I
Hey, guess
replaced
what?
the clamp on my track saw clamps with 3D printed things, and I could have there's things I could have done to make them work. I just couldn't be bothered to put in the effort anymore.
Yeah.
You actually did something this year, so kudos to
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Not to
yeah. What'd you
mention
do?
learning Blender. Like,
Mm.
that's crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
that was something good.
I'm not going to put my name out there or anything because it's not Make and Mackie, but I've actually put myself on Fiverr to
Oh.
do Blender shit. So Blender and Fusion, like, so I've got 3 tiers. You can either get me to do a 3D model for you, give me your 3D model and I'll put it in Blender, or do all three, or do both. Yeah,
Both. Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Well, I made a light clamp. I don't know. I the so I had a light that had a little spring clamp on it, and it was made of plastic, and it broke. And I didn't want to just throw it in the garbage, so I
Mhm.
screwed it onto a piece of metal, and I screwed that piece of metal to a clamp, and boom, I had an even better light that actually worked way better in 90% of the situations, because that spring clamp would constantly not be the right size. It would be
Mm,
too big or too small, right? Like
Mm.
it needed to be on just the right surface. Like 3/4 of an inch was perfect. Anything bigger, and you struggled to get the clamp open far enough, and anything smaller, and it would just fall off, or anything that wasn't thick enough, like a tube, wasn't thick enough. So I just put it on a C clamp, and it's perfect. I really wanted to find a nice vintage work lamp and make
mm,
a nicer version. And I kept looking on like Kijiji, which is the Canadian Craigslist, and Facebook Marketplace, and I just couldn't find anything.
Gumtree
It
for
was like,
Australia.
yeah, I couldn't find anything that wasn't expensive for no reason, and so I
yeah.
just stuck with what I had.
Hmm.
And it's as I noted in the thing, crude but efficient. And if you
Maybe
guys are
all three
looking
of ours
for,
could be that this time.
well, no, but mine's efficient. Adams is in the garbage. That's not
Yeah.
efficient.
Well,
Your
crude. Can we just say crude across the board?
it doesn't yours doesn't look crude to any of us. It only looks crude to
No.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I
I think
did
yours looks
stare at
good.
it for like a week straight. So.
I mean, I haven't seen it up close and personal, but from the pictures and you holding it up now, it looks great.
All right.
I know I
We're
couldn't do
gonna
it.
we're gonna go right into the clamp challenge entries. We had an outstanding amount of entries. So many so that this episode might go crazy long. So you best strap yourselves in while we talk about all five of them. One, two,
We're already
three,
half an hour in,
nine.
and we have
Five
15
and a
minutes
bit.
till we usually start CLAMPmendations and shit. So it's not going to be any shorter.
Yeah, no,
Grant
it's
was
just
worried the episode would be half an hour, just in case anyone's wondering.
no. You said you were worried about it. Anyways. We're gonna start. Ethan Carter was our very first entry. He made a mobile leather debossing system.
Oh.
Basically, he took some clamps and made it so that you could screw down the like. He made a whole little platform so he could deboss leather. Uh, I think it's really good. It's definitely something I've been thinking of making. I never thought about it being mobile. I just wanted it for my own uses, but I like the idea that he's going to bring it with him places. And yeah, so by the way, all there's going to be a link to all these entries in our show notes, or
Oh,
shotes as some people like to call them. So if you
shoots?
want to go there, yeah,
Shoots?
What?
What?
yeah,
I've
show
never heard
notes,
that before.
shotes, yeah.
No, that's a Grant thing.
Well, it's not. Lots of people use it on podcasting. You guys don't listen to podcasts, so.
I listen to a
Uh,
podcast, good sir.
all right. So next one, Jesse is going to explain the next entry.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so next is Griffin Makes. So he essentially upgraded his stitching pony from last time, and now it has an awesome fucking seat with storage, might I add, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I loved his stitching pony. I'd keep saying it, but it's so nice compared to the one I have, and I'm so
Yeah.
jealous. But yeah, it came together beautifully. It looks so good, honestly. So yeah,
Yeah.
everybody should
So
definitely go check his out.
he turned his pony into a horse.
Yes, his pony into a horse. He grew up.
Yeah. I always think that's funny because ponies and horses, like, you don't grow from a pony to a horse. Ponies are different than
No.
horses. But growing up, I always thought that ponies were young horses.
Uh yeah.
And I cannot be alone in thinking this.
Oh no, I did too. Absolutely. And like, don't even get me started on mules and such and donkeys. Like,
Mm-hmm. All right. Adam is taking the next entry.
Yeah, so a weird guy, Jeff, he made a phone mount to mount onto his router on his CNC, a phone holder to essentially video recording the router as it cuts down the CNC. It turned out really cool. It's definitely something that I would 3D print if I was going to make it, but he made it out of wood and out of walnut, and it looks really nice. It's one of the nicest phone holders I've ever seen.
It's technically 2 clamps in one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
pretty cool. Came out really good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely
I'm surprised at how good the video is, because you'd think there'd be more like shaking, but it looks great.
You know, it's funny. He was messaging me, and he was saying that he was more proud of the real edit than the actual project.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go. I guess apparently to me, I'm gonna talk about creative designs by. Do we ever get Jeanne? No, Jean? No.
I think Jean or Jeannie, but I'm not sure which one.
So she just clamps this home decor. We talked a lot about this last episode, but it is one of the entries we got where it is a funny little joke entry, I think. Where, because I'm sure this is not, it's not probably not up there now, but just some hanging spring clamps is your home decor. Now, Jesse?
So let's see, this is Warren, right? Okay, so Warren made what he's calling a clamping bench pin. It looks a bit like a jeweler's vise. Is that what it's called?
Well, they're called bench pins.
Bench pins. Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it looked like something jewelers use. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But I thought so. Okay. I just didn't know the real name for it then. But essentially, depending on how you set it up on your workspace, it can be, configured in a lot of different ways. You can either clamp it, or you can bolt it to the workbench with the holes in it. It's really, really nice. It's very simple, but you can do so much with it. And that's what I think is really cool about this one.
Yeah, he's got at least, I think he had 4 reels explaining. He had 3
so,
reels,
yeah.
and then a 4th where he's like, I discovered another one. I feel like this is like one of the, I feel like this is the type of thing that only could be sold through infomercials because no one else would understand it. Like, it's a perfect design for someone to actually show you all the ways you can do it, right? Like the shopsmith, you look at a shopsmith, you go, I don't understand it. If somebody spends 5 minutes showing you the shopsmith and it goes through in 5 minutes all the different ways you can use it, you go, oh, I actually see. It's pretty cool. The same thing with this clamping bench pin. It's taking like the bench pin, but also taking the screw clamp idea and adding a lot of functionality to it is basically what he's doing. That's what I saw, and yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and now I want to see Warren make an infomercial for it.
Yes. Like a full-on
top guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to see someone like trying to clamp something with like pieces of spaghetti for some reason. You can't hold your stuff, like black and white.
Things in the air.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's always going to be an elderly person, someone with arthritis.
Yes.
Yeah, like, yeah.
A smoking housewife.
Yeah.
Yes.
Last entry. So we had 6, not 5.
Yeah, okay. FYI. We'll count this one.
Hey.
He shots fired.
I didn't say it. DW Woodbuilds, who is the person that asks all our Ask Us Anything questions, showed how to use, I don't know, what are these clamps called? Like a screw? It's not a screw clamp, is it? Or is it?
I would call them screw clamps, but yeah, I do
screw
not know.
clamp?
Grant
okay.
will come back and tell us.
Yeah, Grant walked off just as I asked a question. Anyway, so he showed how to use screw clamps to help install his floating bed in the back of his car when he needs to install it in there. Essentially, what a lot of us woodworkers do is use it to hold a piece of material. It's like a mobile vice in a way, just to hold it on top of the workbench and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, cool use of clamps. I agree. Like you didn't make anything or anything, but it's a cool use, and it's good to show people different ways to use things.
Yeah,
Also,
I think
that
it
is a lot
is
of really good-looking clamps, to be honest.
Well, they're all Rockler.
Yeah,
no.
they
He
look
had
great.
He had one vintage one,
Two
but
actually.
yes, it is a definitely it is a great use of clamps. But they were there temporarily, and I asked him specifically. I said, "Are these part of the final build?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll talk about you on the episode." And
Oh,
that was the end of
well,
that.
you could keep them with you. You never know when you need clamps while camping.
Definitely. I will say there were some people who listen to this show, and I talk with frequently, who literally made clamps during the month of April and did not tag us or tag the thing. And I said, "Hey, you made a clamp and you didn't tag us, WTF?" And he just said, "LOL, you're right." And I think that guy has sour grapes because he didn't like the fact that he didn't win the clamp challenge last time. But
Oh, I
anyways,
mean, it
so
can
I
be
won't name
discouraging.
names. I won't name names. Okay, drum roll, please. Adam, you're muted.
I was trying to quickly add in a drum roll, but I couldn't download it quick enough. I'll do it later.
All right. Well, I was just going to pretend that a drum roll was happening. All right. So, drum roll. And the winner of Clamp Challenge 2024 by a vote of 2-3 is Ethan Carter's Mobile Leather Debossing System.
Yay, Ethan!
So
I'm so
Ethan
excited.
gets, and we did a vote. We did like everyone picked out their top two because we had so many entries. Top two was all we needed, and we shared them all at the same time. So Ethan was the winner out of those that the mathematics that worked with that, and Ethan will be going home with a Chapman Manufacturing 5575 kit. By the way, you can still use the code CLAMP24 to get your hands on one of those. He will get a spoon kit, and I can't wait to see Ethan put leather on a scoop kit, and a swage block for some reason is going to be unnecessarily leather all over it. From Housemade Industrial, he's going to get some isotunes, which I think he already has some, but I know that you can never have enough, just like clamps. It's nice to have a different types of isotunes. I will say I have the isotunes, and they're the only thing that I have that's Bluetooth that I can talk on while wearing them.
Oh.
All my other Bluetooth stuff, like there's always a delay, or everyone says the audio is so shitty. If I'm using the microphone, I can't use them. But yeah.
Yeah.
And he'll get a mullet.
A mullet.
A
Mullet.
mullet
It's
from
like
a
a
weird
mullet,
cat.
but a mallet. A
I know
mallet
that's
mullet.
why it's got. I know, but it's also like a mall.
Fun fact: I
Anyways,
came up with that name.
and
Oh,
he sold so many of them
marketing
from that
expert.
marketing.
Oh, I
Uh,
feel so bad for him. He puts in so much effort.
I know I think he makes some great stuff, and I think he's gonna find his his like thing one day,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Yeah.
it's gonna blow up. He just hasn't found it
Oh,
yet.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. But by the way, some people messaged us and let us know that even if we thought that they had the best thing, that they were not allowed to win.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there was even less. So we thought like, oh, there's not that many entries. It's going to be easier than before, but it wasn't. If anything, it was more difficult because the entries we got for the most part were very high quality.
They're so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, because Ethan put his out. He was first to release his project, and then he wrote in the comments, "Go, like, join the challenge," and then wrote another comment saying, "Don't join the challenge because I want to win."
Oh. I missed that one. That's funny.
Yeah,
Well, congratulations, Ethan. And now we're going to head on over. That ends Clamp Challenge 2024.
yeah.
So thank you, everyone who participated. And for those who tried to participate and didn't make it, I know there was a few people out there that we saw some half-finished projects that never materialized into full finished projects. So, but thank you so much for everyone who
Yes.
did come by and participate and followed along. I know I heard a lot about people who were following along with the projects and just didn't have time.
Hmm.
They were too
If you do
busy.
finish your projects
Yep.
after the fact, still tag us because I'm still interested to see
Yes,
what
we'd still
you
like
were
to
going to
see.
make. Yeah.
Oh, the other Ethan, message me after. Well, I'll hook you up with a clamp T-shirt, and because that
Oh
was
yeah, I
part of
got
the
to do
prize
the.
thing.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
part of the projects too. Their
Yep.
prizes. Yep.
Yes. So Ethan, when you listen, we're not gonna message you. We're not gonna tag you. You have to listen, Ethan. No, uh, just joking. Anyways, thank you to the Patreon supporters. The Patreon supporters are really the people who make this challenge possible and make
Yeah.
this podcast possible. So I especially want to thank the F Clamp level, Scott from Dad It Yourself DIY, David Wood from DW Wood Builds, Brad from I'm Gonna Make, and Chad from Chad's Custom Creations, and everyone else who supports us over there on Patreon. If you get sign up on Patreon, you get access to the pre-show, no, the after show, and a leather keychain I make, and Gnome Hammer's draw, which, by the way, his latest hammer, I don't know if you guys saw it yet, but it is the nicest hammer yet, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Every time he puts
I
out a new
just saw
hammer,
it today.
yeah, he gets so much better. I think every time he puts out a hammer, like he's someone who is just putting in the reps and getting better.
Mhm.
And I really think it's pretty awesome. And yeah, so head on over to patreon.com/clamp. CLAMPmendations.
CLAMPmendations.
CLAMPmendations!
Okay, so my clampmendation for this week is the Books and Bookshelves contest on Instructables. It's one that closed on the 29th, so I have been looking at this for like 3 days this week. And the entries are so good. Like, it was honestly kind of a struggle to pick finalists because there was so much interesting stuff. We had like a booklights made from a book. CFB 70, who was one of my clampmendations previously, he made pizza shaped kids' books, which sounds really wild, but when you see them, they look amazing. Let's see. Well, and we got a lot of good book nooks, which I'm really
Mm.
into. I always love book nooks. I think my favorite one is probably the Doctor Who. It's
Yeah, that's
bigger
what I was
on
going
the
to say.
inside
Yeah.
one. And then one of my other favorite ones, Heck Yes Arts, which I think I might have also recommended previously. I cannot remember now, but they created a floating bookshelf that looks like a leather bound book. And I really nerded out about that one. It's like the construction of it is amazing, and it's just so cool to see it come together in the Instructable. So yeah, I really think that if you have any interest in bookshelves or cool book, like art pieces or projects, it's a really good one to look through for ideas. Like there's also a modern bookcase by I think it's Lan Leo, which I am considering building in our new house just because they look so nice. So yeah, if you're a book nerd,
Yes.
definitely go check it out because there's just so much good stuff in there.
Yeah, that modern
Hmm.
shelf or bookcase is pretty cool.
Hmm. Isn't it? I love it. Yeah, it's so good.
I don't know why. I'm pretty sure that IKEA had something really similar to this.
Oh,
Not like it
probably.
didn't. Yeah, but like this is nicer because
Mhm.
obviously. But I remember seeing in the IKEA. In its. I remember seeing at a friend's house and they said, "Oh yeah, it's IKEA," and I went. Of course, it was like discontinued decades ago
Mhm.
because everything good is IKEA. But yeah, no, it's cool. Very cool. There are some very nice. What was I gonna say? Very nice projects in there.
Projects? Yeah.
Yes. Adam, You're gonna
Yeah.
go last. I'm gonna go next. Haha, take
Oh,
that. I'm
dick.
gonna suggest because I forgot to move everyone around and I went last time. I'm going to suggest everyone check out Crude but Efficient. If you like people to stick by their username, that's the guy to follow. Because every time he posts something, I go, yeah, that's crude but efficient. And I just think he does like such a good job of like, no, it's not always as crude, but I always go like, yeah, I think you've done an efficient job at making something, good. And he definitely my little lamp thing was inspired by being crude but efficient. So he's got
Oh,
yeah, a lot of
the
fun little
Fallout.
projects.
Yeah. I got
Yeah. Oh
excited
yeah,
immediately.
yeah. He had the Fallout Hammer. He's got a YouTube channel as well. He's got an Instagram and YouTube channel. Yeah.
Oh, the dragon vent cap is super cute also. I like that. Yeah. I'm gonna have to look through these later.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at that later. Just sorry, I finally got open the books and bookshelf thing on Instagram, on Instructables.
Mhm.
That Techno Craft Studio, you should have joined our challenge because that mini wireless book clip clamp is pretty cool.
I was thinking that when I was reading that like a couple days ago.
Yeah,
There were
and
so
then
many
the
there were so many projects I saw during the clamp challenge of people I
yeah,
know who just didn't bother to enter, and I just kept going like, why didn't you enter this? And
Some
the
people
only thing
are
I can
just not
think,
competitive. They don't care about contests, you know?
well, it's likely they don't listen to our podcast, but that's
That
the
too.
more likely option. But I think a lot. The only other thing I could think is that like something like this could be made a year ago and only entered on Instructables now.
Yeah, I feel honestly, yeah, I feel like there might have been a video that was like from a while back, but I looked at so many
it
things. Don't take my word for it.
yeah. There's some cool stuff in here, but I really need to get on Instructables more just to look at stuff. Like the 3D printed book cover looks cool. Like
Right? I
but
love
I don't
that
know.
one.
Sorry, allergies. All right. My clampmentation for this week, a little bit of a cop out, a little bit not. So I loved Mythbusters growing up. I'm not recommending Mythbusters itself. I'm recommending the Mythbusters YouTube channel. So they've recently made a Mythbusters YouTube channel and they have uploaded all of the Mythbusters episodes into seasons. And it's all free.
Oh.
Like there's not like
Okay,
behind a paywall or anything. Yeah.
did they get rid of this part where they recap everything after the commercial break? Because that fucking just like I downloaded all of the Mythbusters as like I don't know how I got them. R matey. And then it was really frustrating to watch because there wasn't a fucking commercial break.
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't got that far ahead because I usually put it on to fall asleep to. So I
Hmm.
haven't seen
uh,
the end. But it does seem to be edited a bit. Just to only like just
Cool.
to you don't really see the ad breaks or anything. Like there's no cuts. It just sort of cuts back to the other whatever else is going on and stuff. So it
mm,
Coolio.
doesn't look like there was ever ads. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I want to get my son into it because I loved Mythbusters growing up, and I reckon
yeah.
I reckon he would really enjoy it. He's inquisitive with that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, ask us anything.
Ask us anything. Okay, so the Ask Us Anything for this week comes from Warren Matten. If in some alternate universe you had to marry a maker, what type of maker would they be? Gardener, brewer, goldsmith, content creator? What do you guys think?
What sort of
Brewer.
content creator?
An OnlyFans brewer.
An OnlyFans bro. That's probably a thing. I want to say a jeweler.
That was what I was going to say. I'm so interested in that. I just think it would be cool
Yeah,
that I could just walk into someone's workroom and be like, "What are you doing?" Yeah.
yeah. It's not something I'd be interested in doing or learning, but I love like the process of it. Like Emily
Mhm.
Joyce is so interesting to watch her make shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I, I wonder if I should differentiate then. Let me think. What about you, Grant?
I
He
told
said
you.
brewer. He
I
just
said an
wants beer.
Oh, a
OnlyFans.
brewer. See, that didn't
OnlyFans
seem like a
brewer.
real answer to me. So, okay. Okay.
Someone
Grant
who can
wants
make
free
me
beer.
beer.
I want money.
You know, lots of jewelers out there don't have any money.
It doesn't specify that it has to be a shit jeweler.
Or one just starting out.
Yeah.
No, it's
I don't
fine. You can be a
know.
jeweler too. That's good.
Well, I think honestly, gardener would be the
You
second for me. I know
you
that
can take jeweler.
I do indoor gardening, but I suck at outdoor gardening. So that might be really
I'm
nice.
going to change my answer just a little bit. I would like to just be someone that just makes, like someone that has the interest and understands how it works. Because like my wife, she has no idea. Like she doesn't understand the thought process and everything that goes into
Mhm.
what I do. So to her, it seems like such a stupid, not stupid, but like such like a odd thing to get obsessed about. But it'd be
Yeah.
nice for someone to be able to relate that, whether they're a different type of maker or not. You still have the same sort of mindset and can relate on how your brain works.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep. That would definitely
That
be
or just
interesting.
someone else that has the same autism as me.
Yeah, we have the same flavor of autism. Yay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yay.
Well, on that note, I want to thank TF Turning for the theme song. I don't know.
Yep. I want to thank our guest Bob Barker for coming on and hosting this episode.
Yes, the price is
Spay and neuter
wrong,
your
bitch.
pets.
So you want to find us, search. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.